I will be talking about managing users in PostgreSQL. I will start by logging into my database instance. So I can list all the database rows by simply saying /gu, and we can see we have phone with Chelsea as a row and we have tech team as another row. So we can start by trying to learn the command to create a new user role on the database. So a user role is simply a role which has the ability to log in. So if I say create a role called user1 and give it the privilege to log in, that is a user role. So we have now the role set. If I do /0, we now have user1 who can log in. So it means if I go to a new database session and try to log in with the user, which is the user of what? The user of user1. We see we need to have a database at least which the user can access. So I'm going to just create a database with that user. So we have create database user1 and do that, and now log in here by just calling that. So now we now have a new user here, and this new user can, if this new user tries to create a new database, say user2, they don't have enough privilege to do that, so it's not going to work. But only us here as a super user can be able to create new user, create new databases, applications, bypass low level security, etc. So that gives us the power to do that, and we can be able to now create a new user who has permission to create a new database and do that. So we can just do that by saying create again another role with user2, who is like going to be the big guy, or we can call it super user or big guy, the big guy who has the permission to create a database. Initially log in, create a database. Just give it a super user and done. So if we do /do, we now have a new user, big guy, who is a super user. So that means if I try to log in with a user of super user, it needs us to create role super underscore user. No, it's big guy, big underscore guy, like that. It needs us to have a database of that. So we're going to create a database to be able to log into that underscore big underscore guy, that. And we have a big guy. So this big guy can do everything which a normal user can possibly do on Postgres, like create a database called big underscore database. They can create a new table within that database, counters, you can or if it's an integer. So they can do everything. Let's see, if I want to see select, they can run select queries on their created tables, select everything from counter, that you can insert data into it, insert into counters the key of num, and then you just give it the values of 1, 2 and 3. It's 120, let's say 30. Okay, but on that I want to select now from counter. You see now we can insert data, and you can also delete the entire database. Counters. From counters, drop database. Database counters does not exist. So we had select everything from counters. So it means we can drop database counters. Drop database counters. Like that. Counters does not exist. So I can select, let me see, if I select everything from the database name from bg underscore database, we have the database. I'm supposed to delete table, drop the table, and then counters, not database. So they can drop a table within the database. They can also create and manage other users, such as creating a new user and call bigger 2, and then they can tell the user belonging, create database, etc. like that. So this super user can basically do everything they want to do in a database. You can do applications, you can bypass low level security. So it's always advisable to avoid giving a user a role of super user and just try to give them what is needed. And here we can drop, if I list /0 and we see our users, we can drop a role from a user. Let's say we fire user1, we can drop role user1, and they won't be able to log in again. We can drop the role of the tech team. It's like saying drop the user. Oh, I need to say role tech team cannot be dropped because some object depends on it. Owner of database, tech team personal database. So we see that tech team owns a database and we can't just drop them without that database. When I say we drop the database here, I think we can be able to drop that because we're a super user. And now we can drop the role now called tech team, and done. So that's the power. These are the powers which you select everything from select the database name from pg underscore database, and I think it's an issue. I need to log out and logging in. So select you. Okay, there it is. So now what if we try to drop a super user with a super user? Drop a big guy underscore guy, or big guy cannot be dropped because some object depends on it. What about big guy too? Oh, a super user can drop a super user. That's crazy. It means you can literally be fired from your own company. And yeah, so that's it really for managing roles in PostgreSQL. The key lessons you need to take away is that you should avoid giving the user a super user. If not, they might end up firing you from your own company. And you should, that also can be said in a different way, in that you should try to give at minimum permission to someone as is required for them to do their job. So that's it for this, and with that said, see you in the next video when we're trying out something else on Postgres database.